I'm 93 years old, and this morning, my son sat across from me at this same kitchen table and laid down 3 glossy brochures, beautiful pictures, green grass, blue skies, some smiling old man playing chess like he's got not a worry left in the world. Names like Golden Fields, Evergreen Living, all soft, all peaceful, all carefully chosen. And he spoke to me in that gentle voice, the kind of voice you use when you don't want someone to push back. He said, "Dad, we're just worried about your safety." Safety. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Sounds like love. Sounds like care. But I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time in my life, I understood something I should have understood years ago. He wasn't worried about my safety. He was worried about his convenience. Now listen to me carefully. I am not a fragile man. I've seen war. I worked over 40 years in a machine shop, hands torn up, back worn down, earned every inch of what I have. I rebuilt this kitchen with my own hands after a fire took it once. I buried my wife, standing on legs that didn't want to hold me up. And now, the same boy I taught how to hold a hammer is looking at me like I'm a problem to be managed. But it didn't start with those brochures. It never does. It starts small, quiet, reasonable. Dad, you shouldn't be using the stairs so much. Let me drive you instead. You shouldn't be alone all the time. And then it shifts. Maybe you should stay somewhere, just for a few weeks, just until you get stronger, just temporary. Do you hear it? No one walks up to you and says, "We're about to take control of your life." No. They wrap it in a word that sounds kind, care. And if you're not paying attention, you'll nod. Step by step, you hand over your house keys. You let them handle the paperwork. You let them help you with things you've been doing just fine on your own. And before you even realize it, you're not the one making decisions anymore. I've seen it happen too many times. They're not dragged out of their homes. They walk out themselves, believing it's the right thing. But what you lose isn't money. It's something far more important. The right to live your own life. You think freedom is having people take care of you? You think it's having everything handled? meals on time, medication on schedule, someone always watching over you. No. Freedom is waking up in the morning and deciding for yourself what your day is going to be. The day that choice is taken from you is the day you begin to disappear. I looked at those brochures and I didn't see care. I saw a place where everything is already decided for you. When you eat, when you sleep, when you take your medication, when you're allowed outside, when you're told to come back in. It sounds organized. It sounds safe. But what it really is a cage. And the scariest part is this. Most people walk into that cage with a smile. They think they're being helped, but little by little, they are losing pieces of themselves. I don't blame my son. He's not a bad man. He's just doing what the world taught him to do. Solve problems. Optimize life. Remove inconvenience. And the truth is, when you get old, you start to become one of those inconveniences. I sat there listening to him talk, watching him explain, watching him try to convince me. And there was only one question running through my mind. If I say yes to this, am I still going to be me? That's the question you better answer. It doesn't happen all at once. That's what you need to understand. Nobody kicks your door in. Nobody drags you out of your house. It happens quietly, step by step, one small decision at a time. A fall, a slip, a moment where your body reminds you you're not who you used to be. And suddenly, everyone is paying attention. Doctors start talking. Words like risk, monitoring, assistance. Your kids lean in closer. Voices get softer, more careful. Dad, we just want to make sure you're okay. Dad, this is temporary. Dad, you can come home once you're stronger. Temporary. That word will cost you everything. Because once you agree to leave your house, even for a little while, you've already crossed a line you can't see yet. You pack a small bag, just the essentials. A few clothes, maybe a photo or two. You tell yourself, I'll be back soon. And in your mind, this is still your life, just on pause. But it isn't. That's the moment everything starts to shift. Because the second you leave, other people start making decisions about what happens next. Decisions you're not fully part of anymore. Your house becomes a discussion. Your money becomes a plan. Your life becomes something to organize. And you don't even realize it's happening because everyone is smiling. Everyone is being kind. Everyone is telling you this is for your own good. But kindness doesn't always mean freedom. And care doesn't always mean control stays in your hands. You start hearing things like, let us handle that. You don't need to worry about this anymore. We'll take care of everything. And at first, it feels like relief, less responsibility, less stress. But what they don't tell you is that every time you hand something over, you don't just lose the burden, you lose the choice. And choice is the foundation of your dignity. You don't feel it right away. It's subtle, small things. Someone deciding when you eat. Someone deciding when you rest. Someone deciding what's best for you. And every time that happens, a piece of your independence quietly disappears. Until one day, you wake up and realize you're no longer in charge of your own life. That's how it happens. Not through force, through agreement, through trust, through small, reasonable decisions that slowly add up into something you never intended. And by the time you see it clearly, it's already too late to go back to the way things were. The first thing you notice is the silence. Not a peaceful silence, not the kind you choose, but a heavy one. The kind that sits on your chest and doesn't move. And then the smell. Clean, but not really clean. Something artificial. Something that tells you this place isn't meant for living. You walk in thinking, this is temporary. This is just until I get better. But the moment that door closes behind you, something shifts. You're not a guest. You're a resident. And that word changes everything. Because residents don't make decisions. They follow them. The first day, they're kind. They smile. They help you settle in. They say things like, we're here to take care of you. Just relax. Let us handle everything. And you think, maybe this won't be so bad. Maybe they really are here to help. But then the small things begin. And that's where it starts. Someone knocks, then opens the door before you answer. Someone tells you it's time to eat, even if you're not hungry. Someone tells you it's time to sleep, even if you're not tired. And if you say no, they don't argue. They just look at you like you don't understand what's good for you anymore. You start to feel it, not in your body, but in your identity. Something is being taken, and you can't quite name it yet. Your routine disappears. The way you've lived your life for decades doesn't matter in here. You're no longer the man who woke up early, who made his own coffee, who decided his own day. You're part of a schedule now. And schedules don't care who you used to be. I remember sitting in that room, looking out a window that didn't really show anything, just a wall. And for the first time, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not fear, not anger, something worse, helplessness. Because I realized this place was not built for people like me to live. It was built to manage us, to keep us safe, predictable, quiet, easy. And the more independent you are, the more you feel it. Because independence doesn't fit well inside a system like that. You start to understand you're not being asked, you're being guided, redirected, shaped, until eventually you stop pushing back. Not because you agree, but because you're tired. Tired of explaining, tired of resisting, tired of feeling like a problem. And that's the moment you have to be very careful. Because once you stop pushing, you don't just lose energy, you lose yourself. And most people don't even realize that's what's happening. There was a moment, I still remember it clearly, not because it was loud, but because of how quiet it felt. I was sitting in that room, same chair, same view, same routine, and I realized something. If I stayed there, this was going to be the rest of my life. Not a few weeks, not temporary, this forever. And that thought hit me harder than anything else. Harder than the fall, harder than the pain, harder than the silence. Because I could feel it, my life closing in around me. Smaller days, shorter conversations, fewer choices, less of me. And I asked myself something, a question I couldn't ignore anymore. Is this how it ends? Not with a fight, not with dignity, but slowly, quietly, being managed until there's nothing left. That's when something in me woke up. Not anger, something deeper, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Will. The kind of will that carried me through things most people wouldn't survive. The kind that says, not like this. So I stood up, slow, steady, but I stood. And for the first time since I walked into that place, I made a decision. I'm leaving. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now. They didn't like that. Of course they didn't. Because once you decide, they lose control. They told me I wasn't ready. They told me I was being unreasonable. They told me it wasn't safe. Safe. That word again. Always that word. And then my son showed up. Fast, frustrated, voice raised, eyes sharp. He looked at me like I was making a mistake, like I didn't understand my own life anymore. He said, "Dad, you can't take care of yourself. You're being selfish." Selfish. Imagine that. After a lifetime of giving everything you had, being told you're selfish for wanting control of your own life. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I saw something I hadn't seen before. Not concern, not love, pressure, convenience. And in that moment, everything became clear. This wasn't about me anymore. This was about what was easier for them. So I said something I had never said before. Not loudly, not angrily, just clearly. I live my life on my own terms, and I'm going to finish it the same way. No arguments. When I got back to my house, it was quiet. The same quiet that used to feel heavy. The same walls. The same chair. The same kitchen table. But it didn't feel the same anymore. Because this time, I chose it. That's the difference nobody tells you. There's a kind of silence that comes from being left behind. And there's a kind of silence that comes from standing on your own 2 feet. One breaks you. The other sets you free. I make my own coffee now. Takes me longer. Sometimes I spill it. Sometimes I forget things. But it's mine. Every bit of it. I walk slower. I take my time on the stairs. Some days, I feel every year in my bones. But those are my steps, not someone else's schedule. And here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. Safety is not the highest value in life. Dignity is. The right to choose. The right to decide. The right to live and even fall on your own terms. Because the moment you give that away, you don't just become safer, you become smaller. And once your world gets small enough, It doesn't matter how long you live, you've already stopped living. Now listen to me carefully, because I don't have time to dress this up. If your children start talking about your safety, pay attention. Look past the words. Look at what's really being asked of you. Are they helping you, or are they taking control? Because those two things are not the same. And once you hand over that control, you don't get it back easily. Sometimes you don't get it back at all. You don't need to fight your children. You don't need to hate them. But you do need to be clear. Clear about who you are. Clear about what matters. Clear about how you're going to live whatever time you have left. Because time is the one thing you are running out of. And you don't have enough of it to spend your final years being managed, being scheduled, being reduced to something convenient. You are not a problem to be solved. You are not a task to be handled. You are a human being with a life that is still yours. So hold on to it. Hold on to your keys. Hold on to your choices. Hold on to your voice. Because once you let it go, it doesn't come back the same. I learned that when I was already at the end. You still have time. Don't trade your life for comfort. Don't trade your dignity for convenience. And